It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. Round 5 of 9 for 2025. We're here at MotoAmerica Superbike Speed Fest at Monterey, presented by Law Tigers from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in Monterey, California. And now the sun is shining and the stage is set for race 2 of Motovation Supersport. And boy, it has been an entertaining weekend to say the least. And in Supersport, things got really chippy after the race yesterday. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on in the broadcast. But now we welcome you into our broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time national champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, all eyes are on what happened during the race yesterday. It was won by one of our youngest and brightest talents.
Yeah, Blake Davis right now for me, Greg, second win of the season. He's on that Strack Yamaha alongside Matthew Skoltz, but he has proven to be a real threat right now, and he's starting to see what it's like to be on the front row. And you can see our two main title contenders going back at it again. The number 1 and 15, Matthew Skoltz and PJ Jacobsen. This went back and forth, back and forth. You see Blake Davis sitting behind them, as well as Ty Scott, two of our younger guys. They got to watch these two veterans firing off at each other as Matthew almost spit himself up over the bars. But this went on, and then Blake finally got himself to the front. When Matt made that mistake, Blake went by Matt, and then Blake took the charge and went after PJ. And you see, this was the defining moment for Blake. From this point on, these two guys started kind of going back and forth with each other, and Blake continued to pull away. This was a move that I think a lot of people in the Rahal camp felt was a little sketch. This one here, I didn't see any problem with. I think that Matthew had the line there. Obviously, PJ was on the outside. It was a tough move. But these guys are racing for a championship, Greg, and you can see PJ back there almost getting caught by Cam. And at the end of the day, it's going to be Blake Davis over Matthew Skoltz. PJ would finish third, and that's just where the story started.
Yeah, his second win in the last 4 races. Let's take a look at Blake Davis this year. He started off the first 5 races with 53 points, but just in the last 4, 79, 3 podiums and 2 wins. He's really starting to figure out this brand new Yamaha R9. But Jay, you talked about it. When the race was over, there was a press conference that's always held, and this is some of the stuff that happened during the press conference. Hold on.
Yeah, no, it was a great battle, and then I just feel like there's some real douchey moves that were made, especially the corkscrew. Like when you're going on the corkscrew and you're braking in the on the top of the rumble strip and you're pushing someone in there, like you'll easily lock the front, you know. But that's a Schultz move, because that's what he does. He likes to almost take people out, I think, every time he rides, right?
You started it, man.
I didn't start anything. Actually, I clean ride all the time, but all you do is when you go under people, you literally want to take them out. Like, that's the way you ride. It's a joke. Dude, it's literally a joke. Like, it's a joke. I'm not whining, it's just ridiculous.
You sound like you're whining.
I'm actually not. I'm not whining. I'm saying, like, you should stop being so dangerous on the track, because all the rest of the passing was fine, but when you do one sketchy move like that, that's not okay, you know?
Yeah, so for PJ, he definitely thought about it overnight, and he has a plan today, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this battle ends up. But we know that Matthew Skoltz was involved with that, and he's with the third member of our broadcast team, Jamie Howe, right now.
Those strong words certainly exchanged and listened to around the world. But for Matthew Skoltz this morning, he said, I'm putting it all behind me, putting the helmet on now to get ready for the second race here this weekend. What do you do to go out and stick to your own plan and execute?
We made some bike changes for this morning, warm up, and I feel confident. I'm just going to go out there, ride my own race. Yeah, I'm feeling confident that we should be battling up front. I'm not really worried about yesterday's drama. Today is a totally new day, and I'm looking forward to the battle.
It's going to be an intense battle up at the front, just like it was yesterday. But as that was unfolding yesterday, there was another great story that developed further back in the field, but for a young 17-year-old rider making his first full season appearance here in the Motovation Supersport category, riding the MV Augusta for Melissa Paris, MP13. Young Aiden Sneed was able to get his best result of the season, being able to finish inside of the top 10 in 7th. It was a great ride for you yesterday. What did you learn that's going to help you even continue to improve today?
You know, pretty much just riding with all these fast riders, I learned their lines and stuff like that, so it makes everything a little bit easier for today's race. So today I'm just going to go send it and see how it goes.
Send it and see how it goes. It's time to go racing, Greg.
Good strategy, I figure, when you're 17 years old, learning so much. But not only does Aiden have to worry about the rest of the riders, he's got to contend with WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
see here, Greg, as you go up over the start, turn 1. It's a little uphill start, little tricky. Get down to that turn 2, you got to funnel in by 3 and 4. This field should be stringing out. By the time they get to the corkscrew, you'll see some more moves up there in 7 and 8. And it's a windy road all the way through Rainy Curve down to turn 11 and back onto this front straight.
All right, so an entertaining racetrack as always, but what's going to happen in this Motovation Supersport? The 15 is focused, and he is ready to get after it. We're going to do that when we get back in a moment.
Motovation Supersport is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. By Law Tigers, America's motorcycle lawyers. By NXT Bets, play MotoAmerica for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sports books and DFS platforms all season long. And by Motovation, the most trusted online resource for premium motorcycle parts and accessories delivered right to your door. Find your motivation at motivationusa.com.
Welcome back to MotoAmerica Live Plus. I'm Jo Ankia, joined by Roger Hayden, as we gear up for Motovation Supersport Race 2. It is going to be tight at the top, but as we heard from Jamie, there are also a number of stories slightly further down. One of those being Aiden Sneed. Great to see some of the younger riders do so incredibly well. And he came ahead of Josh Hayes, who is someone that works with him. What did you make of that, Roger?
I think it's just great, and just get the confidence of going with better riders. There's so much he probably learned yesterday, and get momentum, and now he knows he can run with these guys, and he needs to back it up today. Just use everything that he learned riding with that group. This guy here needs a good start. Cam Peterson yesterday was the fastest rider in the race early on. First lap, made a mistake off the start down into turn 2, got pushed a little bit wide, lost a couple spots, and had a huge gap to the leaders. He put his head down and was reeling off laps a half a second quicker than the leaders, but just couldn't get there in time toward the end. So if he gets a good start, we talked about PJ, Blake, and Matt, but Cam Peterson can be in there as well.
Indeed. Kayla Yakov as well. She was 10th in race 1, which she wasn't overly happy with because she's much higher up in the standings. So I'd expect to see Kayla Yakov really pushing it today, and she's actually in the second row on the grid. So hopefully she can get a slightly better start than yesterday and get back up there into the positions that she won. So, okay, well, they are off for their exciting lap. And in just a few moments, we'll be able to take you back down for the start of this thrilling race 2 of Motovation Supersport.
Welcome back to WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, Motovation Supersport Race number 2 coming up. By the way, you can play MotoAmerica for cash. Superbikes, baggers, and Supersport Series are now live on sportbooks and DFS platforms. Scan that flow code or visit nxtbets.com/playma to see what's available in your location. Sign up, claim exclusive bonuses, and make your picks now. Well, Jason Pridmore, we got some qualifying results, which gives us a starting grid where all these riders line up on the racetrack with their feet on the ground. It's PJ, Davis, and Schultz.
Then we have Ty Scott, Cam Peterson, who I think is going to be right there today with Kayla just outside of him on row 2. Gerardo, really impressive so far from Max. Teague Hobbs, Max Van, Aiden Sneed, Corey Alexander, and Josh Hayes back there on row 4. Then we're going to have Dave Anthony, Torrin Collins, Chase Black, Enriquez De Silva, and Owen Williams just outside on row 6 there. Shane Maggs, Omen Cowan, Zaragoza, Reese, and Jeff Bean will round out our field. You know, with all the stuff that was said post-race yesterday and all that, the one guy they got to keep their eye on, like I said, G-Dub, I think is the number 45. I mean, yesterday Camp he had some really good pace and has been showing some good speed.
Yeah, he was fastest in the morning warm-up by 0.3 of a second over PJ and Schultz. Jamie?
For Cameron Peterson, he said keep an eye on his start. That is the one area of this race that he wants to improve on from yesterday. He lost 11 positions by the time he got into turn 2 at the start yesterday. So if he said, if I can have a better start, continue the pace that he had developing at the end of that race, he's certainly going to be able to advance further up from his 4th place finish.
Yeah, we know he was setting the fastest lap of the race there in the mid part of the race. Then I asked him as well, like, what ended up stalling, and he said, oh yeah, front tire. He had a really big moment, started to lose the front in a lot of places. So his good start, if he can stay with him, means he's not going to overcook that tire. 19 laps scheduled in Motovation Supersport race number 2 here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. It looks like the grid is ready to rip. When those lights go out, we're racing. Away we go, and a good launch, looked like from all riders on the front row. Just under the Mission Bridge they go down into turn number 2, and it's going to be P.J. Jacobson around the outside over Blake Davis and the number 1 of Schultz.
PJ's going to run out a little bit. It's going to allow Blake Davis to try to go up underneath him, which he does, stands PJ up. But PJ was determined to lead down into turn 2, which he did, but he just ran a little bit wide. Blake took advantage of it, so now Blake to the front early. To your point earlier, Greg, Campy is a little bit better start up to 6th.
Yeah, 6th place, and looks like he's in a good position to attack. Kayla Yakov right in front of him, the 19. So the 22. Up the hill we go. Cameron Peterson advances to 5th spot on the red bike. So for Cameron Peterson, he's losing a bit of ground as these 3 are starting to streak away. But that 4th place rider, is that Maxi Girardo in the mix?
Yeah, Max, man, it's really impressive on that Altus R9 there, doing such a fine job. And see Campy, Josh Hayes also with a great start. Josh told me this morning that they found a little something. He has been telling me, Greg, that they're not as far off as it looks. He's looking for a feel. He's trying to find a feel. And this morning when I talked to him, he seemed a little bit more confident. So we'll see if that's going to be sustainable as the tires get a little older. PJ taking a look down the inside of Blake here, not going to make that work. And he's not he didn't compromise his exit rate because of new tires. He's able to still get that bike turned and get out of there.
From a dead stop, a 1:29.6, extremely fast for Blake Davis.
Yeah.
As we go down into turn number 2.
Just throwing it back, throwing it
way back, yeah. P.J. Jacobson, no real estate to make a pass.
Somebody went wide down there. I'm assuming it's Teague Hobbs. Teague Hobbs looked like he went a little wide, and it looked like Kayla was going to take a shot at Josh Hayes, and she did. She made that pass stick on Josh into turn 3. Then you see Aiden Sneed just behind these 2 right now. So again, Kayla, she makes a little bit of work there for herself at the start, but she gets by Josh. Now she's got that leading 6 riders ahead of her that she's going to be able to try to go chase down 5 riders. Sorry, Greg.
Sneed in a really good position to learn from Josh Hayes. Tied with Cameron Beaubier in all-time wins. And now P.J. Jacobson up the hill with the lead on that Ray Hall Ducati Moto with Expel Yellow Machine. Into the corkscrew they go.
Cam Peterson makes the move on Max Girard. So the 45 in a much better spot, Greg. He'll be able to take care of his front tire a little bit more in this position because he's not going to have to push the pace the way he did yesterday. That'll allow him to have some tire at the end as well. But PJ doing a good job here. Gets that lead from Blake Davis. Now he's just got to try to get his head down and get away from the guys. Look how defensive PJ is into turn 11. Doesn't want to let anybody get there underneath him. It could compromise him a little bit on the exit, but he does a nice job again of squaring that up and getting the bike off the edge of the tire.
Blake Davis trying to go around the outside on his Strack Racing Yamaha R9, but PJ so deep on the brakes. Oh, and Corey Alexander, unfortunately, 11. For the 23, the Ray Hall Ducati Moto with roller die informing Panigale V2 in our slowest corner on the track, down for this one, trying to pick it up. Back to the battle up front. Impressive by Maxi Girardo on the 41. Out of Uruguay on that Altus Motorsports YZF R9. So we got 3 R9s and 2 Panigale V2s in the mix. And then Kayla Yakov just back there as Cameron Peterson goes 1:27.3. Alexander does look like he's able to get that thing fired back up. We're still about a half a lap till these leaders get to Alexander, so they'll get that incident cleaned up. Up the hill we go, out of turn 6. Now we're heading up to the top of the corkscrew.
It looked like Blake was having an idea there to take a shot at PJ as they came into the corkscrew there and start ripping down this hill. Cam P did have the fastest lap of the race on the last time through at a 27.3. We saw him yesterday, Greg, 26.5, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Cam, we know, has got that pace. And the leading 5, I'm trying to see if Kayla's trying to bridge that gap to these guys. You see her here. She's got away from Josh. It's going to be a good lap for Kayla here. She's probably going to be on pace with the leaders, is the number 19.
27.344, fastest lap of the race for PJ. Yakov back there with a 27.5. So Jay, you talked about it. Less than 0.2 of a second off for Yakov, who's just off Maxi Girardo.
I mean, she's got that pace if she can get back onto the back of them.
And where is Ty Scott in the mix? There he is. Jamie, what do you have for us?
Well, Tyler Scott unfortunately had to bring the bike down pit lane, shut off the engine. I asked him quickly what it was that happened. He said just some engine issues at this point in the race. So just unfortunate disappointment. You know, he's hoping to move up in the championship point standings a little bit. Had to settle for a 9th place finish yesterday. And today it's going to be one that he'd like to forget, guys.
I noticed, Greg, when he was coming to the line, he was looking at his crew and gesturing as he came out from his warm-up lap, and it was it's always a little concerning if you feel something when you're getting ready to start, especially in front of a full grid like he had behind him. So obviously it was something that cropped up on that warm-up lap, and sad to see Ty get out of this one.
So PJ Jacobson on the Ray Hall Ducati Moto with Expel. Panigale V2 leading the way from Blake Davis, Track Racing Yamaha R9. His teammate Matthew Schultz with the number 1 plate behind him. Cameron Peterson. Oh.
Blake Davis goes to the front.
He wasn't taking any of that inside tight line from PJ anymore. So a nice move from the 22. He'll be credited with that lap at 27 flat. Even by making that move in the final corner, he goes fastest lap of the race so far.
Yeah, PJ's just protecting a little bit down on the inside of 11. As you can see, the 27 flat, and it looks like we have another rider down. That's going to be turn 10, Greg. But yeah, the front runners, 27 flat also for Matthew Schultz, 7-1 for Cam. So the pace at the front is about the same. But PJ just doesn't want to open the door down there into turn 11 at all, and it allowed Blake to carry that speed around him.
That was Gabriel De Silva on the 74 down. Here's another look at the pass. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to pull it off, and he just goes around the outside of him.
Rode around the outside, and that's just because PJ doesn't want to have somebody go down underneath him. Matthew Schultz just went down underneath him, though, Greg, down into turn 5. So you got that battle again between our 2 championship guys, 2nd and 3rd now with Cam Peterson. He's going to be looking to eye up PJ Jacobson just in front of him.
So down through the corkscrew we go. Blake Davis starting to streak away. And yesterday it was kind of one of those situations where Schultz and PJ said, look, we're just going to race ourselves in this championship. But Schultz did say post-race that he's got to keep an eye on his teammate, because Blake Davis could start gaining chunks of points back on the rest of this field and find himself in this championship. PJ with a little bit of movement on the rear end on acceleration. That gives Cameron Peterson, the number 45 on that Celtic Economy Lube and Tire Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati, an opportunity down into turn 2. PJ super strong there.
Yep, he literally just closes the door. This is bringing Max Girardo back into this as well, Greg. So you could see that R9 and the 41 there. He's in 5th, and he's loving the fact that these 2 guys are engaging the way they are. But what it's really done is it's allowed those 2 Strack Yamaha R9s to streak off out into the distance. So I'm not sure if PJ's team made a change overnight, but right now it just doesn't look like PJ's able to let the bike flow the way I know that we've seen him do in the past.
But also PJ is talented enough to do some on-bike engineering. He's going to try to figure out where his bike is working, and if there's a solution to close the gap, he will find it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, Greg. No, you're 100% right on that. It's just hard when you've got somebody up behind you.
Yeah,
you know?
that's it.
Yeah, because you've got somebody in behind you that's not behind you anymore. As you see, Cam Peterson goes down the inside of PJ Jacobson in the corkscrew. This guy here's got pace. He sees those 2 R9s getting away at the front, and he wants to get himself back up there with Schultz and Blake Davis.
Nice move by Cameron Peterson, who's living in Corona, California, South African. Now up ahead of him is his countryman and friend Matthew Schultz. I don't know, Jay. I mean, it just looks to me for PJ, he's having a hard time getting the bike slowed down.
Well, you know, the thing is that I want to be able to see PJ kind of get into flow. Every time we've looked, even coming down into turn 2 last time, it's kind of in protected mode, you know? And I think that once he's able to kind of let the bike flow the way he wants, if he could see +0 on his board, he'd probably draw back up onto these guys. He's just got to let the bike roll a little bit more, because I'm not used to seeing that out of PJ.
So last time by, Matthew Schultz, identical time to his teammate Blake Davis, but in Sector 4, He went fastest sector 4, so Schultz is not giving up. He's racing for the win.
Yeah, well, you know he's not going to do that. He's not going to give up, and he's going to race his teammate just as hard. And I think that when you look at these two guys, as Matthew continues to try to get away, he had a 1.2-second lead over Cam Peterson that last time through. So we'll see if that continues to grow. Now that Cam's got a little clear track in front of him, will we be able to run these guys down?
Yeah, I'm wondering if what Cam learned yesterday too, Cam Peterson in 3rd place, what he's thinking, like, okay, it's a little early for me to try to make this gap up. So if I can just maintain it. Oh, there's Aiden Sneed on that MP13 MV Augusta. He's gotten around Josh Hayes. That was several corners ago. And so Aiden Sneed right now in 7th place, but there is the legend on the BPR Racing Yamaha R9, Josh Hayes. Number 4 on the brakes. Nah, no room. Sneed able to get it to the apex and get on the gas of that triple. Front wheel in the air.
Looks good. And I mean, again, it's a young man here. He's the only guy out there on an MV Augusta. Obviously, we know Melissa Paris does such a great job with her team. Evan Steele down there as well. And they've done a really nice job getting this young man comfortable. And I'm sure it's a thrill for Aiden to be racing with a guy like Josh Hayes at the moment.
Without question. Speaking of thrills, Matthew just had a thrill lap, 126.797, fastest lap of the race, and 0.4 of a second quicker than his teammate, and that's why he's closed the gap. Jamie, what you got?
As the gap closes between these two track racing teammates, I just checked in with Xavi Flores, the crew chief for Blake Davis on that number 22, and asked him, did you change anything overnight? Were you happy? Was he happy with what was underneath him? And he said the only adjustment that we made, they put a fresh set of Dunlops on, obviously, but was a mental change for Blake Davis after he got back to the hauler after that victory yesterday. Xavi said, look, you can go out there and win. Don't make any mistakes, but also don't let anybody force you into any mistakes as well. And once he had that little bit of extra confidence, he said Blake can go out and win the rest of them.
Yeah, it's really impressive. And, you know, when you have a guy like Xavi Flores on your team, Jamie, that's not only been there and done that as much as he has, so much respect for him as a rider. Just won this championship a couple years ago. Man, as a young guy like Blake, he's probably looking at Xavi and just soaking up every single last word that he's saying. And when you show that belief in a young guy, this is what you get. That said, Matthew again, Greg, with another lap in the 26, a 26.9, and he's extremely quick, to your point, in that 3rd and 4th sector, isn't he?
He certainly is, and that's where he's going to need it the most. In talking with the crew from the 22 about this Yamaha R9, once again, the first year of this motorcycle, we're at the halfway point, and you can see the championship live standings right now. If it finished like this, Schultz would have a 1-point lead over Jacobson. But in talking with the 22's team, we were talking about they're still working on making the bike comfortable. Same actually with Matthew Schultz about making it comfortable. And there's 2 big changes on this motorcycle that are completely different for each of the riders on this track racing team. For Blake Davis, they actually raised the triple clamp a few millimeters. So the top triple clamp, they moved it. What's that done is that has allowed Blake Davis, they noticed that when earlier in the season, Jay, he would brake with his elbows locked. When they raised the triple clamp up, which raised his bars up, he now has a much more relaxed and bent elbow.
A little bit more flexibility,
exactly.
A little bit more bend, okay.
Yep, now for Matthew Schultz, there's Xavi Flores on the left part of your screen. For Matthew Schultz, he's a very tall rider, and so he noticed that when he was in a full tuck that his elbows would touch his knees. And Attack Performance is a sponsor of this team, and so Richard Stamboli told me that they have some handlebars that go back to your era when you raced that are 1 inch ahead of where 0 is in relation to the forks. They use that on Schultz's bike. Yep. He's able to have room and get after it.
Yeah, you saw there, Greg. Turn 2, Blake Davis looked like he lost the front end a little bit right in the middle of that corner. You saw his outside foot come off the foot peg, and that's the front tire tucking underneath you, and you're just counterbalancing a little bit there. Right now, Matthew's bike does look a little bit more solid to me than does that of Blake Davis. So really good insight on the things that you said as far as some of the changes and the differences between the two riders, even though they're on the exact same bike.
Yeah, it's down to what's possible with this motorcycle to make it more comfortable and ergonomic changes as well. So it's fun to go down there, be under the canopies, and just look at the differences between these motorcycles, even though the foundation is identical.
Even the lines, if you see the lines there, Matthew's a little bit more flowy down through the corkscrew, and that's why he's able to kind of catch up to Blake going from, and you're going to see that's a little bit further back than that in turn 2. Our shot there is a good shot, but it's just a little bit further back in the corners where he had lost the front. So, but yeah, Matthew on the last half of the lap is just a little bit stronger coming down through rainy corner and things. He's able to keep that speed up a little bit, but right now he's just kind of following. What will inspire Matt to pass Blake is if he sees this gap get to under 1 second between him and Cam Peterson. Cam Peterson is still only 1.1 back. Cam did a 26.9 on his last lap. He's also gone 26.8. So Cam Peterson on the 45, definitely not out of this.
Like I said, I think he might be biding his time a little bit and really start to make the push that he needs to make to close the gap, knowing and kind of assessing how much tire he's going to have till the end. He said when he lost the front yesterday, late in that race, it was a big moment for him, and he was like, "Whoop, okay, I've got to stop doing this." And that was when we saw him go to the 28s.
Yeah,
there was a 128 in the middle of that section late in the race for Cameron Peterson. And he was like, enough's enough.
So see how Matthew opens that up at the top a little bit, and then he can kind of flow down. The right-hander is becoming a problem for Blake because he's not getting the bike slowed enough at the apex at the top of the corkscrew. So the bike is naturally moving over to the right. So he's making the right-hander down the hill a little sharper. Cam Peterson now is within probably 0.6 of a second of these guys. Matthew is going to see that on the pit board this time by, and I'd expect to see him try to do something on this next lap.
When we get to the stripe, there'll be 8 to go. Blake Davis doing a great job to dictate the pace. 27.4s for both of them. 26.9 for Cameron Peterson. That's that half a second he's closed in on these two. A little wide for Cam P. It's okay though. You can take a couple of different lines there. You lose a couple of bike lengths. But yeah,
super
we'll see.
Easy to get into that one just a little bit deep, you know.
We'll see what Matthew's pit board says. It doesn't look like he's in hurry up mode for these first couple corners since he saw his pit board.
Cam just did that in turn 2, and he still ran the fastest first split. See, Matt just took a look over his shoulder.
Yeah.
So that's him looking back and seeing who that is that's actually closing in. I'm sure his board probably tells him, but as a rider, again, you're kind of looking back. Is Cam catching me and bringing PJ along? He's probably going to feel really confident right now, looking back and seeing that PJ's not in his eyesight at the moment. So, but Cam Peterson wants to just get up to these guys and do something. See how tight Blake is there? And it moves him over to the right a little bit more. And that's what I'm talking about. That's why these guys kind of close back up on him all down through rainy corner, down to turn 10.
In sector number 2, Blake Davis went the fastest sector 2 of his time, trying to break the riders behind him, but this is just a bit of an accordion. Look how good Schultz is down through rainy turn 10 into turn 11. Blake Davis, nice tight line to the apex and a big drive onto the straightaway. And Schultz in his draft, we'll see if he's got a little bit over the top of the hill. As they crest the hill down into turn number 2, it's processional at the moment. And Jamie, PJ Jacobson back there in 4th place.
Yeah, he's pretty lonely at the moment as that gap between himself and Cameron Peterson in front of him starts to open up just a little bit. He has his teammate Kayla Yakov behind him, and that team worked really hard overnight to try and make some adjustments to both of those motorcycles. Really, in Kayla Yakov's case, they said we really just kind of threw the kitchen sink at it, wanted something completely different underneath her. Seems to be paying out in her case, but in the case of PJ Jacobson, also making a substantial number of changes, trying to compensate for the temperature and looking for the grip towards the end of this race. That's really where PJ felt like he was lacking a little bit yesterday, but obviously put it out on the racetrack and it doesn't always work out the way you hope.
Yeah, sometimes you miss those setups.
Yeah, it does happen, and you can think sometimes that you're making a change that's going to be for the better, but you're on that fine line, aren't you, Greg, where you might already have something that's about as good as it can get until you come up with something different that you got to try to analyze and look over. So, and like, you know, it's great to see Kayla has got by Gerardo. She's up to 5th. 2 of the Rahal bikes in that top 5. And here comes Matthew. He's starting to have more of a look. Now he's got +0 on his board for sure, as Cam Peterson is officially a part of this lead trio.
The front straightaway, you can see Cameron Peterson just turn his head ever so slightly to the left And that is the pit board that we talk about. His crew hangs over there, gives them the information. As a team, they talk about what info they want, each rider going for something a little different. So if you're new to motorcycle road racing here at Motovation Supersport, that's the, unless they look behind them, that's the information they get once a lap. Where there are some spots. So by the way, checking the lap times, 127.3, 127.3. Cam Peterson with a 127.2. But Cameron's having to do it in different spots because there's a few corners where he's losing some time. However, I think if you're Cam P, if you have the bike underneath you to continue this pace, I would want to see what was going to happen in front of me before I start to think about how do I attack.
And the other thing you got to think about too right now is Cam just kind of sitting there. We still got 6-7 laps to go. Is he being a little bit patient right now, not using up his tires, waiting for these two to engage? If anything happens between Matthew and Blake, as you see Blake again running a little bit wide through the middle of that left, it's pushing him over into that curbing. But when you think about it right now, Cam has been in this position so many times, as has Matthew. If Matthew strikes on Blake, you can expect Cam to almost try to strike exactly at the same time. That's what you want to do. When you see somebody that becomes susceptible to a pass, you want to be, if you're the third rider, you want to jump on it. There's Matthew Schultz's board, P2 plus 2.2, as you see there with 5 laps to go. And
yeah,
it
so
says
that
C3, that's Cam.
Yeah.
Cam third.
Cam third. So that 2.2 was to PJ Jacobson.
Correct.
So that was the information that he was getting. So that was obviously we know now we're halfway through the season that they're thinking about championship.
Well, all he cares about is where PJ is.
Right.
And in his mind, he says, okay, I got 2.2. I realize I got Cam right behind me, who he's obviously very good friends with. I got my teammate in front of him. Matthew's in a very, very comfortable spot at the moment.
Under braking, Matthews braking pace. His bike looks a little bit more compliant under heavy braking.
It really does.
As the Blake's. Blake's just got a little bit of a hiccup going on. Doesn't mean he can't handle it. But Schultz, I like the fact that Schultz is putting all this pressure on his teammate. Blake Davis is really showing us what kind of race mentality he has.
Yep.
A lot of pressure last couple days, and he's handled it perfection.
He's doing great, yeah. And I mean, that's a credit to the crew chief he's got on his bike, the whole team around him, and what they're doing here. So again, it's a matter now of where's Matthew going to time this. He's got a run right now. He actually has a really good run. Blake's good into here. So you can see Matthew had a pretty good run on him there as they accelerate out of turn 11. I know they're going to have in probably another 2 corners now. I just saw they're going to have some traffic coming up in front of them.
This is next generation Supersport and Motovation Supersport. The Yamaha R9 for track racing. The blue motorcycle you see out front is brand new for this year. And coming into this round, there was some balancing done. So they basically added 6 pounds to this motorcycle in the balancing of next generation Supersport. And I asked Matthew Schultz about that. How do you feel the bike was? And he said, honestly, this new R9, it's brand new to us. We've never even turned a lap here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, so I have no data or no information to say what the bike would be like without those 6 pounds. So for us, it was kind of the best scenario. We just roll in here with 6 extra pounds, but we're just setting up the bike the way we're going to set up the bike.
Almost like if there was a preseason test here and he would have gone half a second quicker, it would have affected him a lot more, and knowing that what he had underneath him. But yeah, he doesn't know any different right now, so.
How did you like it?
That was better for Blake. Blake controlled himself through the corkscrew a lot better that time, and that was much better.
Schultz, a little bit of movement on the rear tire. No traction control aids in Motovation Supersport. So these riders are doing it all by feel and all with their right wrist. Yeah, it sounds a lot different in a Motovation Supersport than a Superbike that's going blap, blap, pop,
yeah,
pop.
We're used to hearing those sounds. And 3 laps to go now, so now it's going to start getting time for Cameron to start playing his hand. I mean, I know he wants to win for this team, and yesterday I felt like he was probably pretty frustrated. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I texted him a little bit, but I didn't get a chance to actually speak to him, and I'm sure yesterday there was a little bit of frustration, but if he's going to try to win this race, he's got 2.5 laps now where he's got to try to plan this move, and neither one of these 2 riders in front of him are going to be easy to pass.
Cam Peterson, Celtic Economy plus lube and tire. Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati would love nothing more than to leave WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca with a big W. But the one thing that Cameron Peterson does not want to be involved in is making a mistake and basically affecting the championship battle for the number 1. So it's got to be calculated. I think what Cam P needs, Jay, is he needs Matt to go around. He needs Schultz to go around the 22, and then that will give him a clear shot to pass the 22 if he can.
Well, they're going to get 2 laps to go on this time by, and I just feel that Matthew sooner or later is going to have to take a shot. I just don't know where it's going to be. And there's a couple spots for me. It's either going to be turn 11. I think it could be turn 5 for Matthew. Blake is showing really good at just being able to withstand the pressure. Having +0 on your board a whole race long, knowing the guys and the talent that you have behind you, isn't easy to do, Greg. So Blake's way beyond his years at this moment as he gets the bike a little bit loose on the exit of 2. Look how good he is through 2 and 3. He pulls a little bit of a gap there. And now Matthew's going to try to draw it back through turn 4, try to get a run. He's not going to be close enough, I don't think, this lap down into turn 5.
He did get a good run out of turn 4, heading to 5. Not going to try to make the move up the inside on this lap. This run to the corkscrew, though, has been pretty much from turn 6 as they're heading towards right now, has been a lot of Matthew Schultz. There is lap traffic just up ahead, and it gets awfully snug at the top of the corkscrew. Great job by the lap traffic to pull on over and let racing continue, as it looked like the 45 is going to try to make a move. So there goes Cameron Peterson. Nice move at the top of the corkscrew. He'll take over second spot and foil the plans of Matthew Schultz.
You said it. I mean, that's exactly right. Matthew just gets shot up out of the seat through Rainey. Now let's see how quickly. Matthew might want to try to go right back at Cam. He looks behind him, sees nobody there. Matthew might be just literally thinking championship at this moment, because I think it's going to be hard work for him, as the white flag should be shown this time through.
Good drive though by Davis on the front straightaway.
Really solid, and we know how good he is here through turns 2 and 3. But Cam, now he's right up behind him. He's going to run it a little bit wide. He's going to square that Ducati up.
But Davis able to carry his corner speed, not open the door. No move up the inside here. That leaves the door open for the possibility of turn 4. It's happened before here.
I think it could happen in turn 5. Or the thing is, the way Blake goes into the corkscrew, it's going to be difficult for Cam to do that to Blake. And you can see, look how defensive Blake has got. That's racecraft right there, Greg. That is like letting these guys know early, you're not coming down the inside of me going down into turn 5. So again, he sacrificed a little on the entry, uses up exit, and then sacrifices a little bit here into 6. Now he's got to get up this hill. This might be where Cam tries it. As soon as Blake tilts the bike to the right, Cam's going to make a straight line. And look at that, doesn't allow it.
Wow.
Really good racecraft here from Blake Davis. Really, really good.
Down the hill they go, into Rainey. Opportunities are running out of the final lap. Motovation Supersport race number 2 here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. You can cover the top 3 with a blanket. Into the final corner we go. Blake Davis is going to try to park it right on the apex of the corner. He leaves the door open, but no one's there to take advantage. He rolls through the corner. On the gas he goes, and to the line. What a last lap by Blake Davis. And Cameron Peterson to the line takes second place over Matthew Schultz, who will gain a couple of points over his teammate. These two have been going at it all race long. Is Aiden Steed going to send it? He said he was. Into the final corner, doors open on the brakes.
Wow!
Aiden Steed to Josh Hayes, wheel in the air. Is Hayes going to have a motor to get by him? They nearly touch, and here it comes for 7th place, and Aiden Steed will take another 7th place finish for the 17-year-olds. That was good.
Wow.
Oh, Hayes is not happy right now.
Oh, man. What about Melissa?
Yeah, Melissa's thrilled. Melissa's
Very
happy.
torn.
Melissa's
Very
happy.
torn.
There's
Look
the
at
battle
that.
at the finish.
Wow.
That's good. Good stuff. So PJ ends up solidly in 4th. Kayla in 5th place, Yakov. Max Girardo, who had a great run early on in the race, drifts his way to 6th place, but still 6 seconds ahead of that battle we just saw between Sneed and Hayes. Teague Hobbs in 9th, Torin Collins, your top 10. So margin of victory officially 0.3 of a second, but the Virginia native, the pride of Lynchburg, gets it done again, and we get to chat him up when we get back.
Welcome back to MotoAmerica Live Plus. I'm Joanne with Roger Hayden after an incredibly exciting race 2 for Motovation Supersport. Blake Davis does it again, the 18-year-old who now I think has fully found his confidence. What a shake-up slightly for Strack Racing, because Matthew Scholz, his teammate, is the defending champion, but Blake Davis with both of the wins this weekend.
Not only just the winning, the way he was able to win leading from the front. That's hard to do, to get out there and set the pace like he did yesterday and pull away. And today was a little bit different. He was kind of had himself in the middle of a dogfight and had two really good riders behind him trying to make a move toward the end of the race. But Blake never made a mistake, and he's just really impressive what he's been able to do. And we're going to see how many maybe he can reel off in a row.
Indeed, great to see him riding around that lap of honor with the American flag there. And everything I've seen from him personally all day long, he's had headphones in, he's been full of focus. And as Jamie Howe said, his crew, they really believe that he could potentially win every race from now on. So this 18-year-old, wow, what we're going to see from him in months and years to come.
It's been just great to see him make that step. And he mentioned early on in the year, he was running up front, and one weekend he wasn't battling with Matt and PJ, and he said he expects himself to be there every single weekend, fighting for them, not just on the podium, but going toe-to-toe with those guys, and he's been able to do that. Just really impressive what Blake's been able to do, and I think that team has really helped Blake also elevate his riding.
Indeed. Let's give some props to Cameron Peterson, though. Second place on that podium, with him now in the Supersport category. So great to see him, and Matt Scholz rounding out the podium as well.
Welcome back to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Motovation Supersport race number 2 in the books. And Blake Davis with just a phenomenal last lap.
Unbelievable, man. I mean, look, what he did there on that last lap was absolutely incredible. 27.5 his last lap through. So, and that was protecting and doing everything he needed to do there. As you see Kyle Wyman, who's done a lot to help this young man as well, down there in the podium.
As we start our post-race stuff, here's a look at the results. 0.3 seconds, the margin of victory. Scholz right there in 4th. And the difference between 3rd and 4th in our championship is 3 points, so we'll get that. Yakov, Gerardo, Sneed, and Hayes, Hobbs, and Collins in our top 10. And Jay, I think that we have seen, you know, a couple of young talents here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Maxi Gerardo, people need to turn their head.
Man. He needs to be there all year
long.
Yep.
You obviously Blake Davis now gets another win in his young career.
Yes.
You know, Kayla Yakov, it looks like she's made a jump, and then you add Aiden Sneed into the mix with a couple of 7th place finishes at a highly technical racetrack.
Really good.
It's been a great weekend to watch all the young talent emerge like we've seen in Motovation Supersport. Let's get right down to Winner's Circle with Jamie.
For the first time in his young Supersport career, young Blake Davis goes home with a double-up victory. Blake, that last lap, tremendous defensive moves from you, excellent racecraft. What gave you the confidence to stick to it?
Yeah, thank you. Just once again, the team's done amazing. The Strack Racing Yamaha R9 just, it's on rails this weekend, and I can't thank them enough. I felt really confident in that race, you know, making passes on PJ early. It was kind of hard to get by him, blocking quite a bit into the last corner. So I just decided to go around the outside. It was a ton of fun, just put my head down, try and keep a consistent pace. I fell off a little bit at the end, but it's something we can work on for the next round. And I just want to thank Dineasy, Yamaha, Attack, KYT, Strack. I know I'm forgetting a bunch again. I'm really terrible at this, but yeah, just everyone that's helped me out. Jess, Peter, my mom, Dad, Arturo, Kevin, Chavi, everyone that's here for me.
Congratulations on a double-up.
Yeah, I can't wait till he goes back and looks at the video of how he was able to win that race and really gets himself an idea of just how great that last lap was and how frustrating it would be for Cameron Peterson in 2nd place. But hey, let's find out from Cam P. He's with Jamie.
And when he rolled in to celebrate here at Winner's Circle, there was a shake of the head and frustration for you, but a much better start gave you the opportunity to go for those moves there at the end of the race. What more did you need?
Yeah, honestly, I think my start off the line was a little bit worse than yesterday, but I just fought a little bit harder going into turn 2. And then, yeah, there was a point in the race where I was really struggling to close in on these guys, and I knew if I stayed consistent, they might come back to me. But this team, they gave me an absolute weapon to fight with this weekend, and I've never felt more comfortable on the motorcycle. So, you know, I feel like we're just getting started and can't wait for the second half of the season. But I can't thank the whole economy, Lube and Tire, Celtec, Warhorse, Ducati team enough. You know, Seb, Trev, Mickey, Simo, everybody in my corner are just doing the best job possible. So this one's for them, and then let's go try get a win at the next one. But thanks to all these beautiful people, all these fans for sticking out. You guys are awesome.
Congratulations, Cam.
Yeah, always a class act in, you know, in Winner's Circle, and a 26.807, super fast. Second fastest lap of the race for Cameron Peterson, but the fastest lap of the race and P3 goes to Matthew Skoltz. He's with Jamie.
And for Matthew Skoltz, being able to hold on and collect those championship points for you, the battle was intense. How much was the championship in your forefront today when you were letting riders by?
I mean, the first couple of laps, Blake had some serious pace. I was barely hanging on. I knew PJ was there. I knew Cam was kind of catching up to us. And then, you know, once I figured out that PJ had kind of dropped off, it was, I didn't want to take too many risks out there. You know, Blake brakes super deep. You know, I thought I was one of the latest breakers, but Blake was the man out there today. Really hard to get past him. And overall, thank you to the Strack Racing team. They gave me a beautiful bike. You know, the main thing for me is just to claw back points in the championships, and we did that this weekend at a track that isn't usually strong for me. So looking forward to the second half of the season, going to some strong tracks for myself and the R9. And yeah, just well done to Cam, Blake, both of those guys rode awesome. I was really hoping they were both going to get into a little bit of a tussle on the final lap, but that never happened, and had to settle for third place.
Right there to take advantage. It's going to be exciting in the second half, guys.
That's just a veteran racer talking, you know, like, all right, I'm here. What am I going to do? Let's go see what happens with these two riders. But yeah, a really good run for Matthew Skoltz, especially in his championship run. So Blake Davis now getting ready to get after the celebrations coming up soon. As he waves the flag, the Virginia native happy on his cool-down lap. We'll continue our coverage after this.
So those Motovation Supersport standings getting super tight at the top, Roger, between PJ Jacobson and Matthew Skoltz. PJ won't be going home super happy, especially after being pole position and taking third and fourth this weekend, I imagine. Kayla Yakov, though, his teammate from Rahal Ducati, Moto Expel, she did a lot better today, up in fifth. It was great to see her have that better start, and then equally come climbing through a little bit.
Yeah, and early on in the race, she was in the shot with the leaders, so just a great job by Kayla, able to step up today and have a little better race. She was really disappointed with that race yesterday, and she comes out today quite a bit quicker than she was yesterday. Just a good solid run for Kayla, and try to get a little momentum back going.
Indeed. PJ, though, 5.7 seconds off of the leader. Any idea what was missing from him today? There was a lot of energy expended off of the track, but what do you think was missing on it?
I just think didn't have the pace the other guys had. I'm not sure if there was something with the bike, but just was a little bit off compared to the guys in front of him. What a great moment this is right here for Blake and his mom. Think about all the effort that she has put in and his career, and able to get up there on the podium and celebrate with him. But PJ's definitely going to be disappointed with this weekend, especially after Friday as strong as they was. But PJ's a good rider. He'll bounce back these next couple weeks, and that team will dig in, and they'll come out strong at Virginia.
Absolutely. Still a lot of races to come in Motovation Supersport. And as you say, Blake Davis, the 18-year-old, with his mother, with his family, hopefully he'll get to do a little bit of celebrating. Well, we do have two fantastic races left for you here, Superbike 3 and King of the Baggers, so do not go anywhere. It is going to be thrilling.
Motovation Supersport is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. By Law Tigers, America's motorcycle lawyers. By NXT Bets, play MotoAmerica for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sports books and DFS platforms all season long. And by Motovation, the most trusted online resource for premium motorcycle parts and accessories delivered right to your door. Find your motivation at motivationusa.com.
Time to relive an awesome race too, JP.
Yeah, it really was. As you see here, PJ got off to a great start, got down into turn 2, got in there a little bit hot, and Blake Davis tried to turn it up underneath him and was able to do so. PJ would go back after him, Greg, and make the pass back down into turn 5 and lead the opening part of this race. PJ was going defensive into 11 every lap, and Blake Davis finally had enough and said, I'll just go around the outside, which is a hard pass to do. As you see here again, Matthew Schultz goes up underneath PJ, and then Cam Peterson does the same thing to PJ, unfortunately, into the corkscrew. Those three guys would pull away. At the end, Blake Davis and Matthew Schultz looked like they were going to fight this out between them, but 45, Cam Peterson with a lap and a half to go makes a pass up into the corkscrew. But it was just one great final lap for Blake. Showed a ton of racecraft, did a great job. Runs a fast lap on the race, 27.5 on the last lap still, to get his second win of the weekend, his first double of his career.
Yeah, really impressive, and his 4th overall of his career. 3 so far this season. Feels like he's got a lot more in him. Podium celebrations getting underway. Oh, and he brought his mom up on the podium. What a guy. We'll be back after this.
We got a race or two in store for you left today here at the beautiful Laguna Seca in the sunshine. We can see the paddock, and it is still full of people because Superbike is coming up next, race 3. And we've already had 2 incredible races from the Superbike Championship over the course of the weekend. We can see the fans there waving in the stands, on the back straight, and a lot of fans also on the hill. Corkscrew sign not there this year.
No,
which is,
it's not.
Yeah, a bit of a shame for some of us. We liked that corkscrew sign, but the main thing is the actual corkscrew is still there, still part of the course, and we've been seeing lots of action taking place on that. So hopefully you're all enjoying yourself. Superbike race 2 and then King of the Baggers coming up. Josh Herron, he is leading the standings. He has won 5 races in Superbike until the one we saw just a couple of hours ago, where Bobby Fong from Attack Performance Yamaha decided to make his way to the front and take that win. So it's going to be impressive to see, especially with those two, what happens come the final race of the day.
Yeah, and the big thing is going to be who made the better adjustments from race 2 to 3. So those guys had some time to look at some data. Track temperature is going to be up a little bit considering where race 2 was. So some adjustments was going to be needed to be made, and it's going to be fun to watch to see who made the right adjustments. It's so cool to see so many fans here this weekend. I know the riders have talked about it. Riding around here, just seeing how packed the crowd is. It's really cool to see this place with so many people again.
And Laguna Seca also won for the festivities. We've seen legends, Hall of Famers. Of course, we've seen Keanu Reeves as well. So much to experience here. So don't go anywhere. 2 races.
Back at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca in Monterey, California, under the beautiful sunshine, as Motovation Supersport Race 2 is over. So this gives us an opportunity to take a look at these championship standings. And PJ still leading the way with 195 points. And Matthew Schultz now only 3 back as we head into our next event, August 1 and 3 at Virginia International Raceway. Well, that was an awesome race. How do you like Blake Davis getting it done? The double on the weekend. He's got some fierce competition. 3 points in this championship as we roll on to VIR. August 1 through 3. It's going to be warm there. Racing's going to heat up as well as we get closer to the end of this championship. For Jamie, Jason, I'm Greg. Thanks for joining us. We can't wait to see you in Virginia, Blake Davis's hometown. Get the double, baby.